does in sleep.
All right, are we ready to play anime versus plausible?
Let's do it.
All right, give me a second while I retrieve.
Everyone gets, we don't edit this too bad, so everyone doesn't get to be like, oh god, they're really bad at this.
No, we don't edit it at all. All right, anime versus plausible, for those of you who are my brother, is a game we play on the podcast where we build an Ace Attorney case out of suggestions that people give us. And some of the suggestions are plausible suggestions that might really happen in real life or in a cop drama. And some of them are anime suggestions that are some anime bullshit, which is the bread and butter of Ace Attorney. So let's go. This one wasn't cut. But this is a lot from Chat on Maestro.
Michelle's shirt is very good. She gets so many compliments on this shirt.
I love this shirt. I got this years ago I ordered a Shark Robot like shirt that had a mistake in it, and I lucked out and got the best shirt. All right, so I have two. Which one first, anime or plausible?
Let's start with plausible.
Also, I've never played this game before, so...
You did. We made you play it on our podcast.
Your podcast is this game.
Also, your podcast is this game.
You're right. Good point.
Okay, so did you say plausible first?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember which one I pulled these out of.
Whoops.
So maybe we're not going to do that. Okay, so we're going to say prosecutor with plants on them. Chat out Maestro is one suggestion. Cause of death is suffocation from Thunderjam. Shittily intrusive and pervy reporter from Mapop.
That's
and
real.
Will they, won't they romance?
Wait, what was that last one?
Will they, won't they romance?
Mm-hmm.
So, list them all again for me.
Okay. Prosecutor with plants on them. Shittily intrusive and pervy reporter. Will they, won't they romance? And cause of death is suffocation.
All right, well, let's start building up this prosecutor, because I think this is going to be the hardest part, or the most flavorful part of this case.
Okay.
Prosecutor is covered in plants. Are we going to do the what persuasion of plants?
I don't know if it might be. I don't know if it's plants on them or if it's prosecutor plants something on someone. It says, let me read it verbatim. It says prosecutor with a plants them.
So
with a plants them.
So prosecutor planting evidence on someone makes more sense. But I've already gone down this road.
In the stream, then they could clarify. But I don't know if they are.
So my suggestion there would be do both. This is a prosecutor covered in plants, and they planted evidence, and the evidence was a plant.
Okay.
We're gonna Inception it. Okay.
Plants prosecutor, are they a person, or are they like a dryad? Are
they a poison ivy, or are they a person?
Yeah, are they a poison ivy, or are they a person?
I'd imagined just like a gardener who went too far.
Ah.
Which could be poison ivy later.
Which is kind of like that episode of Darkwing Duck I just watched. He was actually a scientist that went too far. He got defunded, and he's like, I'll show them. And then became a plant man.
It could be somebody who's like really into succulents. You know what I mean? Like, aesthetically.
I figured this character, like, their hair is entirely just a plant that's living on their head.
Oh, yeah.
That's very good.
They're otherwise bald.
But it also has to be somebody. So is the person going to be like nature-y and like that kind of vibe? But they also plant evidence, and the evidence is a plant. So do they also appear evil, or is their appearance like deceptively?
So like, is it an obviously evil prosecutor or like a subtly evil prosecutor?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I feel like if we are going with this like very nature, like naturalist vibe, like they might appear very chill at first, and that like throws people off.
Now this goes a little into like the Karain thing because by the time we got to Rafa's mom, it was all fucking nature all the time, and she actually wasn't evil, but it was like I was like, "Are you evil? I think you're evil though. It's deceptively evil," but she wasn't evil, so I guess it was a double twist.
Well, it could be one of those people where they're like, actually, mankind is the disease, right? One of those.
Oh, it's a Marvel
This is
movie.
Poison Ivy, but
Why did you just say it was Poison Ivy or a Marvel movie?
But they have to look. See, the problem with Poison Ivy is that she looks evil. They have to look less dangerous, I suppose. Rosina says a Plantecutor,
Very
and
good.
then Clown. What do you want me to call you by for shorthand? But Clown says, wait, if the plant was the weapon used to strangle the victim, and then Rosina also says stab with cactus spines.
These are all great suggestions. What kind of plant is sturdy enough to strangle somebody?
Kudzu vine.
Kudzu is it? We could just do a whole thing on kudzu, huh?
Can someone please educate me on kudzu vines?
Kudzu is an invasive weed in the south that is pretty much overtaking. It's like completely unstoppable, and not only is it like overtaking. Oh, Clown is Maddie from the emails. Thanks,
Maddie. Sorry, I never remember that.
I'm sorry too. But so kudzu, like, you know how there's like the highway and the stuff next to the highway, and here it's like trees and grass and cattails and shit. Well, in the south it's all kudzu, and the kudzu is so unstoppable that like if you have a car that's parked too long, the kudzu will grow over it. There's like whole houses that have abandoned and overtaken by kudzu. Fucking crazy.
So like my thought is that like, well, okay, so what if what got planted was basically evidence that this person was strangled by kudzu vine, but it was actually a murder. And this was something that threw off the case.
I like that as a red herring.
Red herring is good. Jam says, can you asphyxiate on a plant like if you are allergic to one is another option. Allergy.
Possible.
Because is it less twisty if the planted evidence is they were strangled by kudzu vines, but actually it was a murder, but actually the murder was done with a plant they were allergic to.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
So it still plants all the way down.
But which plant?
But which plant?
Well, and this is why the plant prosecutor was called in.
Commonly deadly plants.
There's some that if you eat them, they're poison, right?
Like nightshade and hemlock.
But that's not an allergy. But we could still do it. You know, everybody's allergic to poison.
Aaron has.
Hey, I'm calling my book "Everyone's Allergic to Poison."
Not all people, apparently. Because like I said that earlier this week, a doctor in the room said, not everyone's allergic to poison.
You mean you said the phrase that I just trademarked earlier this week?
I did. You were there. Commonly deadly flowers, and we don't have to do this, but this is just from the quick Google, like hemlock, oleander, foxglove, nightshade, lily of the valley. Or I can do poisonous indoor plants. Dumb cane is apparently one. Ivy, devil's ivy. Other words I can't.
Devil's ivy sounds cool as shit, and
yeah, that's
kind of.
But what about the heart of Jesus? Because that's also a plant that came up.
Can you stop for a second and tell me that you can see Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, saying he was killed with the heart of Jesus? Because I can't picture that. While that is metal as fuck, like that is a good thriller novel conclusion, and it's not a good Ace Attorney conclusion.
So just to throw this in there,
you disappeared from the stream.
Sorry, you're back. You're back.
Okay. I was gonna say devil's ivy is also a vine that looks kind of similar to kudzu.
It also looks similar to just regular ivy, so I think devil's ivy is a good contender.
Should the prosecutor be named Ivy just to confuse everyone? Maybe not if Devil's Ivy is it. It will be very confusing.
Also, Poison Ivy being a well-known DC character.
We can't do that then.
So we just have to name the prosecutor a different obvious
plant pun.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I think like some of those common flower names are probably good then.
I mean, or for once it could just be like, this prosecutor is plant themed. Their name is Ruby. Because like, doesn't always have to be an obvious plant.
True.
But it's Ace Attorney, it does.
It does. Okay, so
Lily.
Plant prosecutor strangled with kudzu, but actually was killed by Devil's Ivy. Ingesting?
Sure.
Is that how it kills people?
I can check.
Yeah, let's find out.
Maddie has Devil's Ivy, so Maddie, how could it kill you?
Maddie, how are you actively not dying?
Are you okay? What do you do to avoid dying to your Devil's Ivy? Don't eat it is probably a good start.
Yeah. It almost... this... Hey, internet, you lied to me. It's almost impossible to kill, and it stays green even when kept in the dark.
Yeah, I guess it says that it's mostly dangerous to pets.
Oh, I see. I guess, like, hey, Google, that's what I actually probably was Googling if I was a normal person, but that's not what I wanted. All right, well, back to the heart of Jesus.
Okay, well, how does the heart of Jesus kill people?
God, I wish we had a plant friend who could be here right now. Plant friend who knows about plants.
We can also, like, just pick up whatever plant it is. It kills you by eating it. So that way we can then proceed. Like, it doesn't matter. We can fill in the blanks of what that plant is.
Well, good news. I mean, the heart of Jesus has a better, like, other names, but all parts are poisonous, and they should not be ingested or irritate sensitive skin.
Okay.
The word that it is commonly known as is caladium, Caladium. Caladium. It's also known by the name of elephant ear.
Elephant ear.
Heart of Jesus and angel wings. And
all good options.
From South America.
Rosina says maybe the Plantecutor is another religious prosecutor. Which is an option, because then we can play with this Heart of Jesus angel wings.
We can very easily set it in Quran.
Hang on a second, though. Is that better, or is it better if we set it at the state fair and it's elephant ear? What's better? It's very anachronistic if this Plantecutor shows up to the state fair.
Now that's... Okay, so basically we can either take, like, a appropriate route, which is put in Quran because everyone's got very heavy religious themes there, and that could be something that's interesting and high stakes, or we could do our usual fuckery, which is state fair. What if, this is, still going with spirit of justice, what if this is a prosecutor from Quran and is here at the state fair to visit?
That's pretty good. Like, it could be Quran because that's easiest. But so maybe they're a Plantecutor, but they're also like trying to cultural ambassador, right? They're like, I want to learn about Japanofornian culture, so I've come to your state fair since it is the biggest event in misleading
So,
like
this
like
could be
that.
good if, like, that person's like, I've come to your state fair, and they come with Apollo, so we have a defense attorney as
There you
Apollo,
go.
and Apollo's like, yeah, I used to come here all the time with Trucy when she used to make, and she would perform on that stage, and she lit me on fire. It was a good time.
For our foreign friends like Jams, a state fair is a very American thing. It's, I don't know if I can tell you like the origins or whatever, but basically it's an outside sort of carnival situation. There's lots of food stalls. In true American fashion, everything is fried, except there's also like kettle corn and lemonade and stuff. Lots of country bands who have not had success in some time are invited to play on there are large concerts. But usually, at least in the rural states, in us Midwestern states, there's a lot of like farmers who come, and they have animal competitions like biggest hog or like fucking goats. I don't know. But like any times where people want to show off their prized farm animals, that's a state fair, and then everything else is built up around those.
Don't they also show off like biggest plants of the year?
They do, like
Yeah,
huge
like
pumpkin.
Giant turnip or whatever.
Yeah,
Right,
I grew who grew the biggest pumpkin this year, and then like they like sit around and
So
wave
like
them and
if
stuff.
you think of it as like the original function of it is farm-based awards, and then you add other things like
Capitalism.
capitalism
Yeah.
and fried food and the dying entertainment industry.
Our state fair had a mascot who was a giant corncob man who was a superhero.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Sometimes there's rickety ass amusement park rides, and these are the kinds that you should not trust in any way because they travel around the country, so they tear them down and build them up again, which can't be good for safety. But people ride.
And like I've never lived like in the country part of the Midwest. I've always like lived in suburban or city, and so most of our state fairs are what I would just consider a carnival, which is just the rides, the booths, and the waste your money games where you like shoot a gun at a target and then you never win the stuffed animal, but your 3-year-old nephew keeps begging you, please, 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 I want it, and then you feed them cotton candy and they scream and you're like, don't run, and they run away.
Usually they take place on a dirt field somewhere where you have to pay $2 for parking.
Oh yeah, the dirt field
Parking is also in a field somewhere.
Ours usually are in parking lots, like mini strip mall parking lots.
Which makes those carnival rides even less trustworthy.
So, here's a thought. Like, I imagine a scene where we get introduced to this new prosecutor having entered the vegetable contest with some absurd Koreanese plant that no one's ever seen.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
And maybe the murder is about one of these state fair contests.
I like this option here that James said they were poisoned by the heart of Jesus, but they actually were just allergic to giant turnips.
If you're only allergic to giant turnips, I guess there's no way you'd ever find out until this exact situation.
I think
normal sized turnips don't have enough poison.
Well, I will say we do have here cause of death is suffocation.
True.
Which I forgot about.
Turnip.
So I looked down.
That's why asphyxiation came up. That makes sense.
But if we were at a state fair, we can have our shitty, intrusive, pervy reporter who's sent on the state fair beat, but then a murder done did. Is our plant prosecutor out here for the sake of murdering? Or are they really here for cultural exchange purposes?
I figured that this character's weird enough that they can just not be the murderer.
I would like them to not be the murderer, but I was trying to think if that's like our MO is to try to save the prosecutors from all being murderers and bad guys.
I mean, it happens a lot, so.
It does. So then if the prosecutor's not the murderer, but they do plant evidence, are they planting evidence to win the case, or are they planting evidence to cover for somebody who they know is the real murderer? Like, is one of their Chinese entourage actually here to do a murder?
I think having a personal stake in it is good.
Yeah.
Because then we get some character drama.
Right.
Because we've also had enough victory-obsessed prosecutors, like, as a concept, that if this character is very chill normally, then what has caused them to become very deadly serious is that they're trying to protect somebody.
Okay.
The question is who's getting the murder, and like why would they get murdered? Because if someone's like, I'm a foreigner and I'm here to murder someone at a state fair, like there's got to be real. It's not like because his turnip was bigger than mine. It's got to be like a real reason. I mean,
well, the person who did the murder doesn't have to be part of his entourage. It can just be like an old friend of his, maybe, who he's come to visit. And that could also help to explain why he's here in the middle of a field.
You didn't come to the middle of the field specifically to suffocate somebody.
No. But like if the friend had, so like if he's come here to this village because his friend's here, somehow involved in this state fair, and then gets caught up in this murder and has to cover for him, that sort of thing.
Yeah. Is the friend an organizer of the state fair, or are they just like competitor, or?
I guess that depends on who gets murdered.
I guess so.
Chad's we got over here a great suggestion of what if there's just a corn maze and then Phoenix just walks out of the middle of the case because he got lost in a corn maze.
That's fantastic. And yeah, there can be corn mazes at these things
Yeah.
if they're in the fall. So some of them are summer, and some of them they just go all the time. I think.
Basically. So here's an idea, and it's a little bit of a shame that we've already used and murdered Crunchy Granola, Michelle. But what if we had like a Crunchy Granola type, someone who is a retired prosecutor, and they are now visiting their old friend because their old friend's got a hookup because they're really into their like medicinal treatments, and they're like, I can't get this thing for my arthritis anywhere else. Like, you got the hookup, man. I gotta come to you. Nice seeing you. Let's hang out at the state fair. Apollo's here too, because Apollo's like, yeah, let's do a goodwill mission. It's like, yeah. Here, give me my plants. Give me my herbs and spices. It doesn't answer who's getting murdered, but maybe that's.
But I think our plant person can be an older retired Koreanese prosecutor. I think that's good. Yeah. What if we do this? So the friend isn't like somebody who like moved to Japanifornia and lives here now. The friend is like selling these medicinal herbs, or I was thinking, what if they're like medicinal herb infused honey, and they've decided to take their honey and sell them internationally, and so they just have a booth at this state fair where they're selling like radical honey, but you can't get it in Khura'in because of their crazy laws and stuff, maybe. So that they come here to obtain it. Then the covering for the friend can be double in sort of covering for themselves too, because they're trying to smuggle this illegal honey back across customs. You want
smuggling back in, do you?
There's not enough smuggling in the Ace Attorney world. There's only that one time when we smuggled bug carcasses or whatever.
The chat's also got, what if the body is strung up like a scarecrow at the corn maze?
That's dark.
That's spooky.
You guys. So we were having a fun, whimsical time where Phoenix gets lost in a corn maze.
Would also be good because if they're strung up, that could help us like do the like updated autopsy report of like they were strung up, and it's like they were strung up and they didn't die right away, so they actually were there. Like that could get really dark actually. Now I've said that, but it could mess up the timing of like when the crime happened.
Yeah, and then because we have our cause of death is suffocation, they can have been suffocated. And then the Plantecutor has made it look like cause of death was actually the heart of Jesus, or elephant ear or whatever. We
can go with elephant ear for this trial.
I thought it was the kudzu vine.
Oh well, the kudzu vine. We got to bring it back.
The kudzu vine could have actually been it. The cause of death was actually suffocation from the kudzu.
Oh.
Yeah, let's do that. The kudzu vine.
We're flipping and reversing because our cause of death has to be suffocation.
Yeah. So Kudzu Vine did do the murder, and we thought it was the heart of Jesus. Oh, we can't string him up like a scarecrow if the plant is heart of Jesus, y'all. We can't do that. Hey, actually, I'm saying we can't do that.
You're the Catholic one.
Yeah, no, I'm the Catholic one. I'm saying we can't do
that. There's another way. There's other ways we can discover a body at a state fair, and it gets less grisly.
So this also that implies like I don't know a high level of malice, and we still haven't really gotten into why this murder occurred.
Yeah.
So if we've decided our murderer is this honey smuggler who is living here, or at least has come here to sell semi-illicit goods.
Yeah, sorry.
Then we can make this person bee themed. You see,
Ooh, that's nice.
That's really
so we can
good.
have a plant theme and a bee theme.
I like it. Oh, I love that.
That is good.
So
why'd they do a murder?
Yeah, which one? So did the bee person get murdered, or the bee person murdered?
The bee person murdered.
The person did the murder, and the Plantecutor is covering because they're buds. Puns.
So, and so one thing that's possible is if Kudzu was the real cause, and it's possible that death was somewhat accidental. Because, if they just knocked someone out and the plant grew around them overnight.
That'd be terrifying. That's also dark, but I'm
Yeah,
into it.
Very.
Because it's so uncontrollable. But then we still need this person to, even if it's like they didn't mean to kill them, we need this person to get into an altercation with them. So
Right.
I
just meant they don't have to have murder in their heart,
right.
Perhaps.
So maybe, I guess we got some options, which is like maybe we're trying to compete with our medicinal honey and in some sort of judging situation at the state fair, and so we get into a spat between competitors. Or maybe this person with our Heart of Jesus elephant ear situation, maybe this person is like not wanting their Chinese, like being like, this is the state fair and your shit does not originate from the state, you're disqualified.
I feel like these would all be good red herrings for like a person we're trying to accuse of murder, like to have like they got into altercation and they're like, you're not even from here, like what are you doing here, get your bees away from my bees. Like I think that's a good like red herring motive, but like the motive I think needs to go deep. So do we hit all of our points?
No, we have our shitty, intrusive, pervy reporter.
Oh.
And then we have
that person should do the murder. That person should get murdered.
They can do.
What if that person was murdered?
That person can get murdered.
And what if they were murdered because they found out about the illicit drugs that were in the honey?
Oh.
Yeah, because they intrusive.
That's good. Mm-hmm. We can do that. This reporter gets murdered, and then we have one more, which is will they or won't they romance?
Oh, that's right.
Interesting.
We just put Phoenix and Edgeworth on the screen. Bada bing, bada boom, it writes itself.
Just print the money.
Just print the money. No, we won't do that.
No, so we have a shitty, intrusive, pervy reporter who we meet while we're bumming around at the state fair having a good time, and they hit on everybody, and it's bad. And then they end up dead the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Is our Plantecutor a lady or a dude or an NB? What is our Plantecutor? They're elderly, is all we know. And by elderly, I mean anime old, which is over 35.
Over 35, yeah. Well, I think I wanted them to be retired, a prosecutor, so now they're just super into the honey medicinal life.
So probably over 55.
Yeah.
Rosina Sparks Brushel as the shitty, intrusive, pervy reporter. Sparks Brushel is not pervy, nor can he ever be pervy, nor can I think of him in a pervy connection. Please. No, thank you.
I think that this pervy reporter guy should kind of look like a shitty Clavier Gavin. Like he's just trying to be like, I'm cool, I'm a reporter, come talk with me, I'm gonna make you famous, baby.
What if he's pretending to be Clavier, pretending that he is performing at the state fair, but he's actually a reporter, so he's being disingenuous to everyone and trying to pick up people while he's reporting. And then you break it because Apollo's there, so Apollo catches him and he's like, "You're not Clavier Gavin." He's like, "Well, how do you know that I'm not Clavier Gavin?" It's like,
because I have will they won't they with him.
Yeah, because I can look at you with my eyes.
Rosita's pushing for Sparks because then we could murder him.
Let's kill Sparks another time. Wow. With malice aforethought. Maddie says NB Plantecutor.
I think we can do that. I think we can go for an NB. I'm trying to think of a very I think we could just call them the Plantecutor. I mean, I don't have a better name.
If we think of a good plant pun, we can throw it out and chat. If you think of a good plant pun name for the NB prosecutor, you can. But we can just refer to them as the Plantecutor.
Yeah. So let me go over everything we've got so far. So we start where, and I don't think necessarily at this point now it has to be Apollo, but I like bringing him in anyway. So Apollo and Plantecutor come over to Japanifornia to come to the state fair, and look around, and Plantecutor's like, hey, BFF, be medicinal bee person, like, give me the goods, let's exchange some goods. Meanwhile, there's this shitty reporter going around being like, Actun, hook up, let's do this. And then we're like, what the fuck? No, you're not Clavier. And he's like, oh, you got me. And then we leave, and then we hear the next day he's dead. And he's been,
we think he's been poisoned.
We think he's been poisoned. And it turns out later that he's been strangled. But
that's right.
The way he was poisoned by somebody. We haven't decided who. Or no, sorry, the bee person.
The poisoning was a red herring, though.
Oh yes, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
The poisoning was a red herring by the Plantecutor.
Right.
Because they know what happened with the bee friend, and the bee friend knocked him out, and then they ended up dead. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the bee friend. I'm trying to think of a name.
Jam says that the bee friend should be called Horin Net.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so so Horin gets into an altercation with the shitty reporter, knocks shitty reporter out,
and then just fucking leaves.
And then just leaves, and then turns
Oh
out.
my god! But wait a second. So it turns out turns out that they die, and then the next day, like the Plantecutor and Horin cover it up for a bit. But imagine the fucking scandal, because Clavier Gavin has just wound up dead. Dude, fair. And so for the first bit of the day, we think that Clavier's dead.
This is good, because we're playing as Apollo.
This means we really do have to do will they, won't they romance with him and Apollo.
That writes itself, baby. And I don't even support that shit, but I'm here for it.
I don't ship it either, but it writes itself, because he's going to be like crushed because he thinks Clavier Gavin's dead. And wow, the last time we saw him was who knows what. And we're so regretful. And then Clavier Gavin shows up at noon being like, they woke me up and told me I was dead.
I thought you'd be worried here, forehead.
Yeah, this is good. Okay, so that's a through line. We also brought up like some kind of organizer for the fair who's another red herring and possibly the suspected poisoner.
Yes, I think that's not going to be our client. We have to defend that person. We're going to be defending that person.
Like, so yeah, whoever's being framed.
What is our fair organizer person? Because like basically it's done. The case is done.
Yeah.
But what is our fair organizer person? Who are they?
So right now I'm just kind of thinking like tall, like maybe they look like a scarecrow, like tall, stocky, very lanky, and like just like Spark Special was brought up, and I don't want to say kind of that same wireframe as Sparks, but nothing facial like Sparks.
I think I like this so far, because the other thing we can do is this can be we could just have like an entire comedy of huge misunderstandings of this case, right? Because the other thing is Apollo and Plantecutor are there, and we deal with this whole "you're not Clavier Gavin" situation. And Apollo turns around, he's like, "Right, Phoenix," and Phoenix is gone. He's lost in the corn maze. He's lost in the corn maze overnight. He does not emerge until the middle of the next day, and he just waltzes back into the case, being like, "What's up, everybody? This guy helped me get out of the corn maze." And it's the scrawny person. It was like, yeah, I've been, I heard, somebody in distress in the corn maze late last night, and I went in and after him. And that's when the cops are like, oh, well, clearly you were here overnight, so you did it. For some reason, they believe Phoenix's alibi.
Rosita really, really wants Regina Berry here. And I think Regina Berry can be like a cameo in the background with her elephant Astique.
We can have her be a witness.
Oh, that's true.
That's true.
Regina can be here in a witness. Regina is here to perform, probably not to be in any animal judging, because it's usually farm animals and not exotic animals. But
yeah,
Rosina's here to do that. We could even bring back Simon Keys, if people liked Simon Keys. They're here working, and they were there late at night because they were working, and so they witnessed some stuff.
They definitely heard the scream, which was Phoenix lost in the corn maze.
Yeah.
Is Phoenix by himself, or did he go in with somebody?
No, unless you want that Edgeworth here for double will they, won't they? No, Phoenix.
Well, I was thinking.
Completely.
I feel
I
like
thought
he
you
would
said
go with.
Tracy was here.
Oh, she
Is
could be with
Trucy-
Truce. So, like, basically, who would be with Phoenix who would also be lost in a core maze? Because is it Edgeworth? Is it Maya? Is it Trucy? Or is it Pearl? Like, or is it Larry? Like, who would he actually go into a corn maze with?
Some people
I mean-
are competent to stay lost overnight in a corn maze, and those people include Trucy, who would have done some magic to like create a signal flare or something. Edgeworth, because he wouldn't be caught dead in a corn maze.
I agree.
Or the state fair to begin with.
I just think he would get tricked into going to a state
That's
fair.
true.
But Pearl, I don't think, but maybe like Teen Pearl would not maybe get caught in a corn maze. But I don't know. So I guess Pearl or Maya or Larry.
I don't want Larry anywhere near this
I was gonna
case.
say I don't want Larry near this case. We already have a sketchy gross guy,
Yeah.
and also like I can't imagine Phoenix agreeing to go into a core maze with Larry.
Absolutely not. Also, he doesn't necessarily have to be with anyone after the point that he got lost.
I just think that Phoenix is just really into this state fair. Like he's having a great
Oh,
time.
yeah, absolutely.
And that's why, like, he just keeps popping in and he's got more shit, right? He's got cotton candy, and then you look again, he's got popcorn, and you look again, and he's like got covered in
I think
You know,
Pearl
so-
would be with him.
hats.
I think
Yeah,
Pearl would be.
Pearl probably would
along.
want to be at a state fair most.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I think he'd be like, Pearlie, you want to go to a state fair? And she's like, I've never been, mister, right? I've never been. I think I'll go. And then, like, he just really wanted an excuse to go to a state fair and not look crazy, even though he clearly is looking insane.
Rosina says, "What if there's a steel samurai reward at the end of the corn maze?"
But
That might be the only way to get Edgeworth to go.
also, he would solve it very quickly.
And he'd pay somebody to do it for him and give him the prize.
Oh, he'd make Gumshoe do it.
Yeah, he would.
You know, Phoenix and Gumshoe could be lost in the corn,
Yes, yes!
That's good. I like this.
which would be why they don't suspect Phoenix of doing the murder.
Because
Is because
Gumshoe was there.
Gumshoe was there the whole time with him, a cop, right? And so Phoenix and Gumshoe are both. Phoenix is for the whimsy going through the corn maze. Gumshoe is going through the corn maze because he's been forced by Edgeworth to win the prize for him.
I think
Or
Phoenix,
Phoenix and Gumshoe are competing to see who can win the prize for Edgeworth.
because I don't think Phoenix pretends, I think, or either is blissfully unaware of Edgeworth's obsession with Steel Samurai. He, like, whenever you're with him, he's like, oh, that's this weird Steel Samurai thing, and he never thinks about it.
I think so. But what if Phoenix is going to win it for Maya and Gumshoe is going to win it for Edgy, and
Nice.
there's only one prize?
Yeah, absolutely.
I like this. So is the idea then that on that first day while Phoenix is lost in the maze, you're playing Apollo?
Yeah, I
so,
think
yeah.
And then second day you switch back over.
Or
because then you can
he's just
hit
there.
the recorder with you have your bracelet, so you can like
Hmm.
you know he's not a Clavier, and the way that you bust him on it is by seeing his tells.
But I thought that you were gonna milk some drama out of him thinking Clavier was dead.
Well, but he doesn't like on that's
yeah.
because he knows about this guy and he gets him the first day, but then on the second day he just gets a phone call that says Clavier Gavin is dead. The police investigating don't know that it's a fake.
That's true, but he probably knows at that point, oh, it's the fake one who died, right? Like that would be the
I think
the
well
easiest.
we can milk the drama in terms of he gets the call and then we're like he's so frazzled he rushes to the scene, he's like, oh my god, I just can't believe it, pulls back the camera and goes, wait a second, it's the fake. So we can play with the drama a little bit with Apollo.
I mean, we can milk it further by he's not allowed to see the body at first, which could also be the opportunity for the Plantecutor to interfere.
So I think this would work better if Clavier was also there on the first day, the real
Okay.
Clavier.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because then
yeah,
there could be some doubt about whether it was the real one or the fake one who died.
yeah, that
And
would be
even though-
simple because then Clavier's supposed to perform at the show, but there's this fake guy going around saying he's Clavier trying to like get phone numbers and stuff.
Yeah, and that could be maybe the impetus for your first investigations around. Clavier's like, hey, there's this fake of me. Apollo, can you check it out?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
The only unrealistic thing about it is that there's this many big name people at a fucking state fair. That's like the only stretch here is that Clavier Gavin and Regina Berry are both here to perform at a state fair.
Regina Berry's not a big name people.
Big Berry Circus is pretty big, I would say.
Yeah, it's like
That's
the
a good
fact of the
thing.
fair is there's like the stage where the music happens, and then there's some other shit, right?
I mean, just go with it. This is our fun fan fiction.
Fair. This has brought international visitors. This state fair.
No, this is like how the Bristol Ren Fair is the #1 Renaissance fair in the country, and it's in the fucking Midwest. So yeah, it's probably something like really good for what it is. I'm just saying, like, that's. I'm not here to be like, no, we need to scale back. It's just like I'm like, yeah, this is a video game case because this is a lot for real world,
Yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah. The chat jumped for a second for me. So Jam says, "Is Phoenix is in the corn maze? Is he a witness or is the murder not in the maze?" That's a good question.
Where is the murder?
Maddie says, "I mean, it's really sad to think about, but at this point, Clavier is past his rock star prime, so it does make sense for him to perform." And then
Yeah.
Jan says, "Big Berry is Berry Big Circus is big in Japanifornia, the state ? But probably not big elsewhere in Japan America ?
Hmm.
Don't be sorry, Maddie. You're right. He doesn't have a band anymore. One of them's in prison. He's
Yeah.
solo artist Clavier Gavin. It's not even the Gaviners anymore. He is past his prime. And the better part is he knows it.
It's true.
So I think Very Big Circus probably tours, but they're not like huge. They're just like a circus.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Although they do have a permanent facility, so I don't know.
I don't know how circuses work.
They perform in prisons, so I also don't know how big they are. Because Cirque du Soleil doesn't like go to prisons.
And Ringling Bros is over, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Or bankrupt. So like, and that's fine because it's bad for the animals.
So back to that question though,
Yeah.
like where the murder takes place and how the defendant becomes suspect.
Yeah, this is a good question.
Because we mentioned like having him out in the corn maze because he resembles a scarecrow very much.
Yeah.
Which is good. I love all that. But it could partially just be because, you know, they know he was in the fair all night. Even if the murder didn't take place in the maze.
So I'm trying to think, like, does it really, like, I guess, like, we have to say the body's somewhere, like, after, so that the vines can grow and strangle the body. And you said it's mostly on, like, sides of the road, or is it just, like, stretches of land?
Hey man, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as it's outside. So I mean, it could be near the corn maze, but it could also be like somewhere on the border of the fair, like behind a tent or something, maybe.
Yeah, like if it were at like a section of corn maze where someone had obviously like crushed through the maze to create a new exit.
Like gumshoe.
Basically, yeah. So it's like I think maybe the assumption is that the defendant escaped into the maze, like in order to get away.
Like yeah, and that could be true. Is like our honey person.
Horan.
I forgot that Horan. They ran away into the. They got scared, you know, they were insulted and they left, and by that they like dashed away into the maze.
I'm just trying to think, like, do they get out of the maze? Do they run into Phoenix and Gumshoe? Or are they still in the maze? Like,
no, I think they have to get out. I mean, they can run into any of our 3 people who were in the maze. But I think they should get out. Because they have to tell the Plantecutor what happened.
right.
True.
Like immediately. so that they can do the.
So maybe like the maze has like a secret. So like basically the maze has been built, and only people who are staff at the fair would know about this, which is maybe how we get them. Is that like the maze is a real maze, but if you're staff, you know that there's actually like a secret like one like straight line through the maze. If you like kind of cheat this like low hedge, you can go straight through the entire maze. So if someone's stuck or like it's like a safety out, you know.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's why, and like the only people who know about that are like the Scarecrow guy, but he couldn't use it when he was looking for Phoenix because Phoenix was really fucking lost, or you know, like staff, and the only staff we have is the honey person.
Yeah, or like maybe not so much staff, but like maybe they can have training for all the vendors too.
Yeah, or like a vendor
that.
training, or like all vendors are given a map of the grounds, so they had a map of the corn maze and they were able to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Without running into Phoenix somehow, which is why I think like maybe there's just like a cheat.
Yeah, I think that's great. Maddie
using that knowledge could be a way to defeat the idea. They're like, oh, if they were in the maze, they would have run into Phoenix. And then you present evidence and...
Yeah. Or we could try to use, James's suggestion is that they do run into Phoenix, and then we have to get witness testimony out of Gummy and Phoenix.
You know, that's not bad. Because the other thing is, like, Apollo is here visiting, but first thing in the morning, we get a call about somebody who needs defending, and Phoenix is not there. So Apollo takes the case, and then if it turns out Phoenix has to be a witness in this case, he can't be the defense attorney.
That's
Athena
true.
has been noticeably absent, though. So what's going on with, I guess the last thing to figure out, unless we can think of more things that need figuring out, is what's going on with Athena.
So Athena could be lost in the maze with Phoenix instead of Gummy, but I like what we established, so I don't want to take that away.
Gummy, yeah, but she's famous for getting lost.
I don't want her also lost in the maze. That's unnecessary.
Athena's hanging out with Trucy and Pearl, is what Mandy says.
Athena and Simon are at the State Fair soba stands. Athena's busy eating soba with her best friend Simon.
Jam says we figure out it's them and they don't show up to court, so Apollo has to do the turnabout visualization thing to figure out they're still hiding in the maze and we have to leave court to find them. That's very funny. We kind of... Did they emerge with Scarecrow Man, or...
Oh, I guess so the Scarecrow Man could either actually finally get them out of the maze, or couldn't find them and gave up, but I think that's not necessarily in character.
Yeah, I mean, while I love that idea, that means that Phoenix and Gumshoe are stuck in a maze for approaching 48 hours. At that point, it's a disaster situation.
Yeah.
Overnight, it's bad enough when you have a teenage daughter, but don't tell Phoenix he has a teenage daughter, or he might feel bad.
I mean, although at this very, very impressive world state fair, maybe it is like the largest corn maze.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
surely
yeah.
it has to be
at this point.
California known for fields of corn.
This is slightly east of that. Don't worry about it.
I'm like, wow, we've never been more Midwestern on this program.
This is by far the most Midwestern episode. That's why my shark has a cowboy hat, like the Midwest.
I love that. I didn't say it earlier, but I fucking love your shark hat. The hat.
Tony did that. So kudos.
I
think we got it. Unless we want to name Scarecrow Man our defendant.
Phone signal is that bad in a corn maze, Rosina.
It is.
It's actually infamously bad in a corn maze.
It's not so you don't cheat at the corn maze. It's, I don't know, corn absorbs the 4G. I don't know.
Also,
Phoenix has a fucking Nokia. Yeah. Thanks, Maddie.
I would call him...
reason, I don't know. We don't know. Our Midwestern asses don't know what it is.
I assume is that there's just not a lot of cell phone towers near fields of corn because there's not much of a need for it.
I would call him Abe Hale.
Abe Hale.
Abe Hale.
I don't get it.
It is. What? Like hay bale.
Like,
Oh,
hey,
like
Bale.
Bale.
It's too smart for me. That's why.
That's pretty good.
It's
That's
good.
pretty good.
Abe Hale. Okay, so is he still? So he probably gets. So he does. I don't think he would leave Gummy and Phoenix in the core maze. So I think he gets out with them and then is accused of murder promptly, right? Abe Hale.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be the next day when they discover the body.
Yeah, I think
And
so.
they're-
The body could either be behind a tent, strangled, or it could be just like fallen outside of the corn maze, like on the edge of it, strangled.
Yeah.
So it's discovered fairly quickly. I mean, the other thing is like either he calls the police and the police, in classic bad police fashion, immediately arrest him because he's the first person who told them about a murder.
Yeah.
Or like the police are called by maybe the Plantecutor or somebody, and then they come and investigate, and who stumbles out of the corn maze at that exact moment? Abe Hale, right? And he goes, oh no, like, oh, he's a scarecrow man, so his reaction is like, oh no, my life is ruined. And they're like, why is your life ruined? Because you killed someone? Arrest him.
I don't know who this detective is, but I love him. This detective you've just invented is wonderful.
We do need more detectives in Ace Attorney world because we don't have that many, but they all have to be incompetent.
Oh no, they absolutely do. That the flavor you just given me was like detective bad, but not good. Like he's not good at being detective bad.
Detective bad, but bad.
Yeah.
This is detective worse.
This is detective mediocre.
Oh.
He's just not that good at it, but he's not like your because our detectives are classic Bumblebee Gumshoe, and then we have Hard Boiled, which is bad. We have Emma, who loves science, and she actually doesn't want to be a detective, so grumpy fallback.
Just okay.
And then Bobby Fulbright.
And then Bobby, who's in Justice We Trust.
Bobby has a lot of stuff about, but
yes,
cannot be used ever again.
No, certainly not.
Resolved.
And then I think that's it. That's all of our detectives. And
Which
real
is not-
Fulbright, who's dead. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you could also just have Gumshoe take over this case, but then again, if he was with Phoenix, he's not going to arrest that other guy.
I'd say he should be
Yeah, okay.
he's usually a witness for the police, but I think this time he has to be a witness as a witness, and that's something that maybe Gumshoe's not comfortable with. We could explore a new dynamic where Gumshoe's like, I don't even have any reports to go on, pal. How am I supposed to do this?
So, I mean, we could bring Emma in because, we've already got Apollo and Clavier. It would be easy just to slot Emma into that for dynamic reasons.
True.
Or we can invent somebody
new. Poison-based.
Oh, it is poison-based. That would actually
theoretically poison-based.
Right. So it can be Emma, or it can be we can keep on trucking and make a new detective.
What do you think? What do you want to do?
Emma feels appropriate. I don't not that I don't want to make new characters, just that Emma feels correct.
Yeah, we can make a new detective next time.
And we've got like 3 new named characters, which is pretty standard, I think, for most Ace Attorney cases.
Yeah, I think
unless there's anybody else we need to fill out this roster of witnesses, but
I don't think so. I think we've got a pretty robust thing. Especially if Athena and Simon are there eating soba in the corner.
I will say that we are left in a situation where the only other new character is Horan.
That's like very first case problems where it's like, oh, a new character must be the murderer.
Huh?
Was that the Plantecutor's new?
Oh, yeah.
Right, but I guess you could instantly assume that the Plantecutor did it, but like as a plant-based murder.
Yeah.
In which case there, we can do more will they, won't theys. That's true, chat. If Emma's there, and Clavier's there, and Apollo's there, will they, won't theys. Now we've got the ship wars.
It's all in a triangle.
That's a shape.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. Plenty of cases are that way.
I mean, we can also always introduce a colorful array of state fair characters.
Oh,
there's always room for more random people at the state fair.
I'm not making Pain the Plantecutor. Pain can stay dead. He's not dead.
I don't want this to be the first case either, though, because it's a little meatier than that.
Well, it seems a bit more. There's enough days in it that it's at least the second case.
Yeah, a second or third case.
So I feel like you could introduce at least one more red herring of a witness, but
I think a good red herring of a witness would be either like one of the people who is submitting an animal who's like into the animal contest side of the state fair, who's really pissed about the world's biggest corn maze, because it's like, this is supposed to be the purity of the state fair is being poisoned by this gimmick of a corn maze, when everyone should be focused on how big my hog is or whatever. Like,
I'm so upset, Michelle, that you just said that sentence.
I'm sorry. I just forgot. Just because your mind is in double entendre territory doesn't mean I meant it. But, like, fine, how big my cow is? What do you want? How silky the fur on my goat is? Everything sounds bad if you're looking at it from that lens.
I mean, I don't care. I don't really care what animal it is. It's fine if it's a pig. I just didn't expect the word hog. And I think that's really... And then, like, a very popular phrase to refer to a man's dick.
I'm sorry, refer to a motorcycle. It's really what it is.
It's true. What if somebody's here to show off their motorcycle because they thought they were showing off the best hog?
That's a car show, which is an entirely different Midwestern ass thing.
It's true, and I don't want to go there. Let's see. I kind of like this idea of a very, like...
30 to 50 giant feral hogs. Very good. Thank you, James. That's hilarious.
It's a slow burn for me. I forgot about that meme. It was so good.
It's because it happened in the before times.
It's true.
right before the before times ended.
Oh,
anyway, what were you saying?
I like the idea of a very, like, posh farmer. Like, he's almost like, he's not quite in a suit, but he's, like, basically a suit wearing, like, there's integrity here, and my hog is the best hog at this fair. Like, he's just, like, very intense, and not
I
like...
can see this person, which is, like, it's a farmer who's in his best suit, which is, like, blue, like, weirdly powder blue, but pinstripey, and he keeps doing this with his suspenders, and he's got a straw hat on. I can see that person.
Yeah, like, he's very, but he's not, like, very, like, hickish sounding, he's very posh sounding, so there's a weird dissonance with him, where you're like, are you the murderer? Because something's fucking up here.
Flower. What if he's got, like, a flower on his hat?
Yeah.
And that it would be like, plant, but he's a farmer.
Oh, is that nightshade on your hat? You know, it could be whatever, but we can think it's a poisonous flower, or it can be a poisonous flower, and he's just like, it's just a fucking flower. I didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
What's his pig's name?
Well, you want him to be posh, right?
Yeah.
So maybe his pig should be something sort of
Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth is not posh. He's a baseball player. He's a real American hero.
Something in the realm of, like, Archibald.
Yeah, something like that. What's a butler name? What's a good, like, English butler name, and/or anyone from Downton Abbey?
Jenkins is the first one that comes to my mind, but
Jeeves,
Jenkins.
Which,
Alfred.
if you're going to give the pig a butler name, the pig has to have, like, natural butler coloration.
Oh yeah.
And, like, needs to, like, bring him, like, plates of things on his head.
Yes.
So he'll snap his fingers, and the pig will show up with something. And this is just the world's fanciest farmer.
It's fantastic.
Jebediah is a classic.
Jebediah is very biblical, but I'm kind of into it, so that's fine. Especially if we're connected to the heart of Jesus.
He gets murdered by the heart of Jesus. Oh my God.
So this guy has beef with the state fair organizer for putting in his corn maze.
Yes.
Yeah. And what if we also do so the another name for the poison was an elephant ear, right? So
Right.
what if the pig is
Yeah.
always bringing him elephant ears
Maybe.
that he then like poshes up with, like he's always doing like the powdered sugar or like chocolate sauce daintily onto it or something. Dude just likes elephant ears, but he's killed with a poison called elephant ear.
Oh.
Aha.
Okay, I think we've hit every possible extra, every possible red herring. Did we settle on how the body is discovered
No.
and where the actual altercation happens, and how that like how this journalist gets knocked out?
I think so. I still think behind a tent, but it can be a behind a tent that runs up against the corn maze.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
Because that happens. And then we don't know how the altercation happened, except we did discuss that the reporter knows about the illicit medications that are imbued in the honey, right?
Yeah.
The drugs in the honey. And so they confront Horan about it, and they get in a fight, a tussle or something, and then Horan storms away. This could be behind the tent because this reporter is a creep. So
Yeah, I think that's
Well, especially if like Horan was like leaving for the day
yeah,
and was like on the way out, and the reporter's like, gotcha.
yeah.
and I think
So I
that's,
think it's something as simple as that.
and I think if like in the case like we wanted more corn maze whimsy, we could be like Apollo could do the oh my god, someone's still stuck in the corn maze, like that could still happen. But I don't want to leave Phoenix in a corn maze for 24 hours.
I'm upset to learn that 30 to 50 feral hogs happened a year ago.
Yep.
But
I mean, it's also still happening. Nobody ever dealt with those hogs.
feral hogs,
They're
they
still
weren't
happening.
real. Do you
They weren't
remember?
real.
It was a political meme about why people need guns. It
But
was
they
to
were. They are real.
I mean,
feral
sure.
hogs.
But
Yeah,
no
the
one-
feral hogs are just rampaging around the American countryside. That is
That's why-
actually happening.
We all have guns, right?
I mean, the guns are useless to stopping the hogs.
If you kill one hog, the rest will turn and eat the other hogs because they nasty like that.
Yeah, hogs are weird.
They're still out there. Feral. Good job, Rosina. Excellent point.
But so yeah, I mean, like, does Horan just like cold cock the reporter, just, or is there some other method for knocking him out?
That's a good question. Because if he cold cocks him, there's going to be a bruise or something. Like it's going to look like some sort of blunt force trauma, I think.
Right, but this is supposed to look like a poisoning.
Yeah. Or could possibly
Well-
be a poisoning.
So Maddie mentioned earlier, what if he's got hair extensions or hair plugs or something? What if the bruise is covered by the fake Claver Gavin hair?
That would do it. Then we have an updated autopsy report later.
So they don't. So like, the person's not clocked in the eye, like not face. So what if the reporter's trying to walk away, like, haha, I got you, and they punch him in the back of the head?
Oh.
So it's covered.
That's true.
And that actually is refreshing for Aces Hardy because no one punches anyone in this series, really.
There was only the one time and Apollo punched Phoenix, if you'll
Yeah.
recall. We never talk about that because the evidence in Apollo's first case was forged by Phoenix Wright.
Chad is freaking out.
Oh, I've got it. The Horan gives the reporter a haymaker.
Yeah,
Is that a slang for hitting somebody?
a special type of hitting, wrestling hitting.
It's like a double fist.
I like it, and then it feeds into his name.
Well, I was just reading the like a CSI Miami, yeah, and then ooh.
Maddie, I saw it. I was trying. I was working on it. We got it there. So I think honestly, like I know that this is longer than a normal episode of our podcast, which is why we've gone on forever with this, but I don't know if there's anything else we can do with
No,
this case.
I feel bad since we're not streaming. I wanted to like I wanted us to go as long as we could with this. But I feel like we've did it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'd play this case. It would be very whimsical.
It'd be so intense. For various reasons, and it'd be outside of the tents. Before Aaron in the other room makes a joke about tents, like that new Campy movie.
Very outside of tents. Yeah.
Yeah. The evolution of the Pearl Slap, Apollo Punch, fake clavier hair extension haymaker. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we can call this a done did anime versus plausible.
Pretty
Should
good.
we call it, or is that the that the end of the stream, or should we continue? I have to rip up these now, everyone. They're out of anime versus.
We could go over.
Can we get a rundown in chronological order? I feel like I missed a few things. So summary.
Well, who wants to do? Do you want me to do it?
Yes.
Okay. So start top of the case is Apollo and Plantecutor. Plantecutor is a retired prosecutor, but would like to go to the state fair because Plantecutor would like to meet up with their honey dealer, Hornin. And so Apollo's like, cool, I'm going to go home and visit. Let's go together. So they're going together. They're at the state fair. And at the state fair, they see this guy who's a serious business about his hogs. We see Clavier Gavin, who's here to do a performance. But he says, like, hey, can you check something out for me? There seems to be a fake going around, and I'm not cool with that. And so Apollo's like, sure, man, I'll do that for you. We'll go around, we find this fake guy who clearly isn't Clavier Gavin. We do a tell, we get him with a tell using our Apollo powers. And it's like, no, you're not Clavier. You need to stop this man. Like, fuck off. And so he fucks off. And we, at some point, meet up with Horan, the honey dealer, and the Plantecutor, and they, establish their friendship, and we kind of learn something about the honey. We end up leaving the state fair. That's all that happens in this day, right?
I think Phoenix goes into the maze on this day?
We don't learn that Phoenix is there. We learn this after the fact. But you're right. This day, that Phoenix goes into the maze to have a fun time with Gumshoe and to compete against Gumshoe.
Doesn't he check up on us or something? Like, we're aware that he's at the fair.
Right, yeah. We run into him. We see Athena and Simon eating soba. There's Regina in the corner. Like, everybody. So it's like a very fun, like, oh, they're here. Oh, they're here. Oh, they're here. Like, it's very fun. And so we go to bed, and then we wake up the next morning. We have a phone call going, this just in, rockstar Clavier Gavin is dead. He's found dead at a state fair. And so Apollo's freaking out. He's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. He rushes to the scene. And does he look at the body, or do we not look at the body?
I think we should just draw it out a little bit in sort of like, we investigate around the area, but the Plantecutor basically tells us, like, you can't go in there right now or something.
Yeah, basically we get held back. Emma's the detective, so Emma's there. And so she's like, well, hold off, buddy. Like, can't let you in right now. Like, we're all really upset about this. Emma does...
How does Emma not know that's not Clavier?
Emma hasn't looked.
Okay.
She's just kind of like doing like the little... Maybe she's just got there. Or maybe she just got there. And she's like, sorry, the police have to investigate first. You can't come in yet.
Okay, yeah.
Something like that. And she doesn't immediately run to Apollo to tell him it's not him, but... so she gets wrapped up in police work. So we investigate the surrounding area. We draw it out. Clavier Gavin himself actually rolls up. And we're like, wait, you're alive? Then who's that guy? So we find out that guy is the phony. And then we all converge and we're like, well, okay, everybody's... Oh, look, it's all three of us, Apollo, Emma, and Clavier, we're all alive. Yay! Plantecutor pops up, and it's like, wow, this is all crazy. Ha 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 ha. And then the Scarecrow guy pops out, right?
Yeah.
He pops out and he's like, oh, I fucking ruined. And they're like, gotcha, bitch. You killed him.
You sure are ruined because you killed someone.
Cuff, slammer. So we take him away. He's now arrested for the murder of Sleazy McSleazebag. We never came up with a name, but I don't care.
Glavier Cabin.
Yeah, Glavier Cabin. Classic. So he's dead, and we take our Scarecrow man away. and then we have to we're going to defend him because we don't think he did it. Do Phoenix and Gumshoe pop out?
I think they have to pop out before trial because they need to be witnesses.
Okay.
But maybe they don't pop out with enough time for us to talk to them.
Yeah,
So we have to go to court for it.
That sounds good. So we do more investigating. We probably talk to Horan. We talk to the pig guy. We talk to, Emma. Plantecutor agrees to take the case, I guess.
That's something I was about to ask about. Is like Plantecutor starts out on the case, I imagine, and then by the end of day 1 of court, we're probably accusing Plantecutor of doing the murder. Does Clavier then take over as prosecutor for the case?
I would like that, but you're assuming that, like, oh, he's being accused for murder, he can't be a prosecutor anymore, when Phoenix was on the stand and defending himself. More than once, I think.
That's true. That's why it's just a question, right? Like, which one do we want?
I think we should keep Plantecutor on prosecution because they're a new character and need, as much, like, time on the bench as possible.
Yeah.
But Clavier could probably assist if he so chose.
That's something we call for Plantecutor to be removed as prosecutor, and Plantecutor's like really betrayed because we've accused them of murder, but also because, they know Apollo from Kurian. Like, what do you, I thought we were buds.
Right, but Apollo's very familiar with prosecutors and other just members of court betraying him.
Yeah, Apollo is like geared for anyone to betray him at any time. So, RD, you can represent yourself in real life, but you can't represent the government in real life. That's the function of prosecutors, is they represent the government in these proceedings. So I think here's what we do is the judge is like, no, I'm not removing them. They're the prosecutor. If you don't like it, appeal. I know you've never heard this word before, but which is not good law. None of this is good law, just FYI. But here's so Paulo back and forth, remove him. No, I won't remove him. And then Clavier sticks up his hand from the audience and he goes, what if I basically chaperone the Chinese prosecutor and we let them continue to prosecute so the case is not, completely ruined, but so they have somebody who is
say like, hey, I'll assist and make sure the prosecution is upholding the law is some ace attorney promotion. Like that definitely is something that would happen without saying real words like appeal, because ace attorney hates real law.
At that point, because we're having a will they won't they romance with it, so that way Clavier's around all the time, but also like Apollo at this point, I think Clavier's the only person he trusts. So
fair.
I guess he trusts Phoenix and Athena now, but he didn't in Dual Destiny.
It's true. So now we're in court, and right before court, Gumshoe and Phoenix finally leave the maze. We're in court. We start, accusing various red herrings, and we finally start getting onto the path of Horan actually with the illicit drugs. Honey drugs, and then eventually through court back and forth, we find out that Horan does indeed have illicit honey drugs. Did also do a punch. That the Plantecutor put poison on the body to be a red herring to say like, oh, he died from poison, no one killed him, but we obviously debunked that pretty quickly. We eventually figured out it's Plantecutor that did it. That did the covering up, but Horan did a punch, and that actually what murdered the sleazebag is a plant.
Yeah.
I raced through that bit a little fast, but that's
okay. That's our day 2 and/or 3 of court.
Yeah.
And so I think it'll be okay. But I mean, ultimately, you get a not guilty because nobody's guilty. It's nature. It's invasive species.
We're the real.
I mean, several crimes were committed.
Yes, but we're here for murder court. We ain't here for small claims and other things, drugs. All right, I think that is quite the case.
Oh, yeah, I think so too.
Golly,
it's a good one.
You want to say goodbye?
You were gonna play Anime versus Plausible next month, maybe, but
Well,
we can always do more anime versus plausible.
It's true. If you'd like to send us more anime versus plausible, email us.
At objecttothispodcast@gmail.com. And thanks, Kevin, for helping. And thanks, chat. Everybody got to do this case got built in real time with everyone. So I'm glad we did it. I hope everybody had a good time.
And I will make sure everything works before we come back next time.
Yeah, we'll run a test. Maybe we can play some pizza game and run a test.
Ooh.
Alright, well, this is Scally.
He's on
leaving.
camera.
And he's leaving now. He doesn't love me no more. It's okay. I'm glad chat had fun. I'm sorry about the game, but hey, this is something else, and it's actually our podcast. So,
Right.
All right, you guys ready to call it a night?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. In the meantime,
night,
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Michelle. In justice we trust.
And I'm Kevin, and I don't trust justice that much.
That's fair.
That was
All right.
object to this, so why don't you object to that?